Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to this video. And you know I'm in business when I have my glasses on and I'm not stroking my hair as I come to you. And I'm in my office, my gorgeous office. So what am I going to talk to you about today? I'm going to tell you or share 5 tips for travelers. Yes, for travelers, but I'm also going to share 5 unlikely kind of things about visibility too. So let me explain. My name's 𝗙𝗶𝗶. If you're watching this video for the first time, I'm nicknamed the Queen of Being Seen because you being visible, you being seen, you putting yourself and your work out there is my thing, whether you're an employed professional or whether you are a self-employed business owner. Anyway, a couple of weeks ago now, it happened to fall on my birthday. I was speaking at the meeting show at London's Excel. And at that particular show, one ticket got you access to 3 shows. And another one of those shows that were exhibiting on that day was the business tech show. And why am I telling you that? Because on my way out, I thought I've got a train to catch and a bit of traveling in between. I picked up this magazine, The Business Traveller, really cool magazine. And this just happens to be the May edition, although they had others. And I didn't get to reading it until probably about a week or so ago. And I noticed this article. So I don't take any credit for this. This is Business Travel Magazine or Business Traveller Magazine. But it caught my eye. This article were just 5 items of unlikely contraband. And as I read it, I thought, I wonder who else knows this. So, in the spirit of being open and honest, I'll read it to you and I'll also share why and what this has got to do with being visible. Okay, so in the travel news, there were 5 items that they talk about that are unlikely contraband. And the context of the article is that you might be traveling, you're a world traveler, you might be traveling somewhere, and you could inadvertently fall foul of doing something that you maybe shouldn't be doing totally by accident. And in this case, if you're traveling, just check what not to pack when you travel. So the first item is CBD oil. Yes, lots of people are using CBD oil to soothe anxiety or inflammation or help with pain. However, a lot of that is derived from hemp. So in many countries, that is legal. But in a lot of countries, if it's and gosh, I don't know how YouTube are going to position me with some of this stuff. I go straight in. But if it's got cannabis oil in it, then it means that, and obviously, if you want to see the article, you need to go to Business Traveller, Google it, and I'm sure you'll be able to get yourself an electronic copy of it. Um, but if the CBD oil contains cannabis, then that's not legal in lots of countries. And it made me wonder how many people are taking gummies on holiday or oils with them for their, ailments or their anxiety and not realizing that they are inadvertently breaking the law. So that was one thing. So CBD oil, it says in here, is banned in Cuba, Haiti, Bolivia, and strictly forbidden in many African countries. So don't fall foul of that. Second thing, which really surprised me, were vapes. So the laws around vaping, as it says in the article, are continuing to evolve. So in this holiday season, remember things like here in the UK, disposable vapes have been banned. And I think that was around May time. But again, go to the search engines if you want to double check. Don't fact check on me. But several other companies have also introduced a blanket ban on vaping. So imagine you get on a plane, you've got your vape in your pocket, you're going to one of these countries and you don't realize it's contraband. So it talks about India, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore, Qatar, Thailand, and the Philippines. They are amongst the strictest. So when you are in holiday season, holiday mode, and you're thinking of traveling, remember things like this. And remember, in some of these countries, you don't just get it confiscated or a slap on the wrist. If you do take a puff of your vape in public, it's a punishable offence, sometimes with a fine, and in some countries, imprisonment. So read that in. Third item, clothing. Now, I knew this one because my heritage is Barbados. And when you get to their airport, Grantley Adams Airport in Barbados, hence the airport code BGI, Barbados Grantley Adams International, just in case you're wondering how they did that. When you get to the airport, there are lots of signs that talk about this. Now, this one surprises a lot of people, so I'm actually going to read what it says in this article here. In terms of clothing, camouflage clothing is strictly reserved for official military, I can't speak today, personnel only. So if you go to countries such as Uganda, Nigeria, and many of the Caribbean islands, do not wear any form of camouflage clothing. No shirts, no skirts, no shorts, no matter how trendy they are, cargo pants, anything like that, because it could be perceived that you're imitating military personnel. So they don't tolerate it in Barbados. They'll tell you that at the airport. However, in Uganda, it's particularly tight. If you go to Uganda, and who absolutely forbids any kind of military style dress of any kind, as it says here, if you do it, it actually carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. Okay, so that's definitely one to watch. Then medical supplies. If you've got a cold, double check on your remedies before you jet off, because Vicks and Sudafed, plus other medications that contain, I don't even know how to say this word, looks like 𝗙𝗶𝗻𝗄. If it contains that, which is used to treat nasal congestion, these are strictly prohibited in Japan. Codeine, which is found in lots of cough syrups, is banned in several countries, including Japan, Indonesia, Egypt, and United Emirates. And if you think about this, codeine is in a particularly strong painkiller that I have had to take for a chronic pain condition that I've had for many, many years. I don't take it a lot, but I've had to take in the past. So Solpadeine, which is a brand name, all other brands are available. If you have got Solpadeine, do not take it with you when you travel to places like Japan, or Indonesia, or Egypt, or the United Arab Emirates, because you can get into a lot of trouble. It doesn't say what here. And then the fifth thing is chewing gum. So Singapore actually banned chewing gum in 1992. Can you believe that? And they did it to clean up public areas. So the rules were relaxed in 2004 to allow therapeutic gum, but as it says here, so things like nicotine gum is therapeutic gum. However, only for customers with a medical prescription. So Bangladesh has also banned plastic bags, and they did that in 2002. How forward-thinking was that? So there's a full or partial ban now in 91 different countries. So it doesn't name them all here. I'm not going to name them out. Again, have a little search on your favorite search engine and you'll be able to find it. But it says Rwanda outlawed plastic bags in 2008. So any plastic bags that are found in your luggage will be confiscated. Now, I think about things like, sometimes I've got shoes and stuff in my luggage, or trainers. I'll wrap them up in a plastic bag and stick them in. So this is something to just take, very pay close attention to. So in those countries, you could get a fine, it says on here. So that's things that you might not have known about traveling. And again, give a shout out to the Business Traveller magazine that I was reading that from. So why am I talking about that? Well, I was having a conversation with somebody recently and I talked about being visible, and you'll see that there's many videos here where I talk about the ABC, and namely knowing who your who is. This is really important. Who's your audience? And one of the things that I recognize in people that tend to work with me quite closely, these are common denominators. They love to travel. They will normally travel, usually with their families, but they will travel quite a bit. I've had clients who have worked with me, then gone off traveling for 3 months, sometimes to places that they have maybe seen and wanted to go to for a long time. But there's a really common theme of that. My people don't tend to only ever stay within the UK. They're happy to travel abroad, overseas, and go to lots of different places and have good experiences. And when I noticed this in a number of clients that I'd worked with, I thought, this is such an interesting thing. What many people that speak to me, they think visibility is obvious. They think, oh, well, you've got 5 key pillars, Jenny, the vibe system, 3 is up there. And they think, let me just write down what those things mean and I'll be visible and out there. But there's a lot more underneath it. And some of you will need to go deeper into some of these segments and some of you won't. So just in case you're wondering what those 5 things are, you've got visibility itself, and that's the first pillar, but it's actually got another couple underneath. The second pillar is about impact, the impact that you make. And for many of you, even though I talk a lot about speaking, video, and what you post online, for some of you, the biggest impact you will make is non-verbally. So for those of you who are employed professionals, whether you're the CEO, whether you are senior leadership team, whether you are aspiring to be in the senior leadership team, or whether you have just graduated and you're early in your career, impact is something that you will need to make all the way through. And sometimes, especially in those environments, the biggest impact you can make is without even moving your lips or opening your mouth. So it could be how you're dressed, how you kind of like present yourself in meetings. It could be how your shoes look, depending on, you know, which sector or which industry you work on. And that's not a judgmental thing. Think about the armed forces. You could never go to work with dirty boots. It's just not done. But I digress. Then you've got your biography, which is the 3rd pillar. You've got your energy, which is the 4th pillar. And then under the 5th pillar, you've got 2 things, which is speaking and sales, i.e. your ability to sell yourself and your ability to sell your products and services, either yours, if it's your own company, or that of the business, if it's a business that you work for. But ultimately, whether you're selling a product or service or yourself, these are important. So visibility, impact, biography, energy, and speaking/sales. Okay, so why do I talk about that? There's so many conversations I have with people across the board, across the last 15 years of doing this, where they genuinely don't realize or don't think about the impact of something that would be seemingly normal in one place and usual to do in one place to be like a definite no-no somewhere else. And vice versa, something that you think, I'm not going to do that because it's the antithesis of being visible, it's not what I'm about, so I'm not going to do that, which could actually harm your visibility game. So I'm going to go through those very, very quickly with you. And, you know, feel free to pause this video or even just watch it, come back to it, watch it again and make notes if you want to. And if you want to keep a record of the unlikely contraband too, that might be an idea. Okay, so one of the things, and in fact, I saw yet another example of this morning, somebody that I actually know really well, who has been awarded by the King of England, you know, who does such good work in their field and in their industry. They'd won an award and they shared that they'd won an award publicly in one place. And then in another place, which was deemed a little bit more professional, they talked about what they got up to, but not about winning the award. Now, knowing this person as I do, and hearing this from like thousands of people over the years, I know that many people who do great stuff and great work in what they do, they feel some sort of way about what to them feels like boasting. But you know what? You are in contact with people every day. And especially if you're out there on social media, you'll be coming into contact with people who don't know you yet. You know, even in the last few days, new people are joining this channel. So thank you for watching and sharing and subscribing, and also telling your friends to come along and share too. It means the world to me, and it's all for free. So be aware that it's just as important to talk about the things that you are great at and your credibility, because not everybody else is going to promote them for you. It's not being big-headed. It's not being full of yourself. It's not being, unhumble, or that you're not being humble. This is a way for you to celebrate yourself, your achievements, the things you do, and to have other people celebrate you too. So next time you're thinking about, well, how can I be more visible? Share something that you're really proud of that you've achieved, because you'll find that other people will celebrate with you. Okay, and if you don't know how to do that, then keep watching these videos. And if you still don't know how to do that and you want my help, then check me out on either LinkedIn or anywhere else that you'll find me online, my website or anywhere else, and we can schedule a call and I can talk about how working with you would help to achieve that too. Okay, so second thing, impact. Now, it's interesting because there are a percentage of people that hear me say impact and they shudder inside, and then they'll go away and tell themselves that they're kind of being a bit wet and they should really have more courage and be bold, and they feel a way about it. But let me tell you something. There are a lot of people that understand what it means to make an impact. But if you think about it, impact, it can be seen as very harsh, very driven, like too, too masculine energy and a bit aggressive. So there are actually some people, and some of you that are kind of cringing inside when I say impact, there's a reason for it. So for you, you might want to think about the impression that you want to leave instead of the impact that you want to make. So if that's you, that's an unlikely kind of byproduct of being visible that some people feel uncomfortable with. They still go out there, they still put their work out there, they still raise their professional profile, but they just don't understand why they feel a bit kind of about it. So third pillar, which is a B, biography. Yes, a biography or a bio is about you, but sometimes the story lies within your products and services, not just here's this pen, it's made with good quality, plastic or rubber or whatever else, and it's got a nice blue ink to it, which is actually this color, aqua blue. It's not the story of that. It's why somebody would have created it. So for example, in 1862, not that I'm old enough, I remember writing, and everybody was writing with black quills. And I remember thinking, wouldn't it be nice to have a color that contrasts, one that stands out, one that helps me to remember things, one that shows people that actually this is important, one that I can circle words with so that they jump out. And it came to me in a dream one night. Why don't I make a quill that's made of plastic and rubber that has bright blue ink? And there it is. Now, I've just completely made that story up. And no, I wasn't alive in 18 whenever I said, but that is the story of a product or service that it's likely your people will be more interested in hearing than our company started making these in 1922 and were manufactured in Yorkshire in England. And again, I'm making all of that up, but you catch my drift. People are emotional, and when you talk about your biography of your work, of your business, of the thing you do, of the products you sell, of the service that you offer, what this does is it actually speaks to people's emotions and it humanizes the thing that you've got. It makes them or gives them a different perspective. Okay. Fourth pillar, E, is around our energy. And this is one that everybody I think I've ever spoken to, myself included, will trip up on some time. And this is our energy. And what do I mean by that? This is our ability to be more of ourselves. I remember when I first started doing this in 2010, having come from a corporate background, having come from financial services, I thought, well, I can't have my hair down and loose. It doesn't look professional. I'll need to tie it back in a tight ponytail or even a very tight bun. I need to make sure that my earrings are a certain way, not too showy, not too dangly. And people tell me that they dampen down their energy because it's being quote unquote professional. But actually, is it? You are likely, if you're worried about being professional, you're likely to be professional wherever you are. So an unlikely thing that might stop you from being visible is thinking that you have to dumb down your personality, that you might have to dampen down who you really are. You might have to dress in a certain way. You might have to look a certain way. You might even have to sound a certain way. And I'm here to tell you that none of that at all is true. And then finally, the final S is around how you speak and how you sell yourself. Now, we are always selling ourselves. And one very quick example of this, especially if you do lots of stuff online, is to say something that sounds really creepy but true. People are always watching. Doesn't mean that they're kind of watching through your door or through a window that they shouldn't be, but people are always watching. They're always observing you, whether you mean it or not. So that time that you went out for drinks after work and got absolutely paralytically drunk and fell over the boss's chair, yes, those things might be noticed and might be remembered when you go back into the work environment. But often the unlikely surprise about that is it doesn't have to be something that's so gigantic and big. How are you with your colleagues? How are you with your peers? Do you share knowledge at work? You know, what's your work ethic like? All of these kinds of things, whether you're self-employed or an employed professional, all really matter, and people will notice those too. Now, when it comes to speaking, there's so much I can say about this, but all I will say is you do not have to sound a certain way. Many people are public speakers and you have a conversation with them and then they do a video or they go out there and speak publicly and they sort of turn all robotic and their diction sounds very different. That is not necessary either. So hopefully you've learned a bit about 5 things that you might not want to travel with when you're on your holidays or traveling around for work this year or next year. But also you have got some food for thought from the Visibility Vibes system that I created in 2010. Exclusively from me, so you can't learn this stuff from anyone else. But you've heard of 5 reasons or 5 ways that you might unlikely hold yourself back from being visible, even if you are already visible, even if you already know. I would love to hear from you, and I'll put the links to where I am on social media in the comments below. But I'd love to hear which one of those 5 spoke to you the most of those vibes. So it could be something that you realize I need to do more of that or something else. Let me know. Bye for now.